All right, guys. Moving on to topic 3. Morpheus.
What if I
PlayStation,
told you? Oh, that
Morpheus.
Morpheus.
Yeah, not
Okay.
the Matrix
Okay.
Morpheus. No. So, Greg,
Yeah.
we did a little San Diego Comic-Con
We
last
did do a
week.
little San Diego Comic Con.
We ran around at a whole bunch of different stuff, met a whole bunch of different people. Didn't play too many games. But we did have one little opportunity to play some stuff. We played with the Morpheus, and we played a little bit of Battlefront. Did you get to play Battlefront
I didn't
at
play
all?
Battlefront.
I played for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. Did you
It's
have fun?
super cool. Yeah, we did a little split screen.
Okay.
Nick
You
had
and
a
Nick?
problem. Me and Nick did it.
Couldn't invert.
Yeah, Nick couldn't invert,
Nick
which is some
sucks.
bullshit though. They should
No,
be,
Nick sucks.
I hate it when demos don't have the option to let you like do something that simple.
Sure.
Like
But
I
also,
understand.
I hate that Nick sucks.
I
wouldn't be able to play it either.
That he sucks.
But
It's just,
you'd be all right.
Yeah.
Remember that one day where you started thinking inverted? Just out of the blue?
Anyways, that was cool and all, but Morpheus was the thing that I was like, oh shit,
Right.
This is awesome.
Right.
Have you played it before, Colin?
Yes,
Okay.
several times.
Have you played it before?
Yes. This is my first time playing it since New York Comic Con.
This
so
is
I've
my
missed a lot of stuff.
This is my first time using Morpheus. I've used Oculus before, and what's that other one? There's another one, but I don't remember it. There's another big one. The
Gear VR headset?
Yeah,
The
I've
HTC?
never used that one.
Okay.
Um,
HoloLens?
And then Brandon Lodge.
Oh, yeah.
He has his whole thing going, and so me and Nick did a demo of that at E3 last year. So I'm familiar enough with all this VR stuff, and we've talked about VR a million times in the sense that it's, more gimmicky than gamer-y. And
Sure.
Like, what are the real applications for all this and all that? Having said that, we played it, and all of us had huge smiles on our faces, and were in love with it.
Yeah.
Thought it was super fun, and then we all left. We talked about it for a bit, and we're like, "Oh, this is so great, and that was cool, and this is cool." Yeah, but do you want one? No, not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me know your experiences.
Well, here's what I want to lay out. This is a golden tidbit that I mentioned to you guys, and I heard Nick say when I had headphones on, we can't see what you're seeing, and I never told you. And this is one of those things that, don't get me wrong, maybe this is just in there to begin with, but we have something to do with this. So we sit down to do the first one, Playroom VR, and I'm basically a monster, Colin, in the Morpheus that's chasing them down the street, and I got to smash my head into buildings and stuff to try to knock down their. But it's just fun. It's just a stupid on the rails thing where I'm smashing my head into things. Great. But in the part where I'm just waiting for the game to start, right? You're in this area and you're looking around and there's all the buildings with the little dudes. You remember these guys that are in the controller? They're in the playroom thing doing their thing. And I shit you not, I look over here, Colin, and there's a little dude watching TV, and on his nightstand is a frame that framed photo. This framed photo of Shuhei Yoshida. And like, granted, this is the shoe photo you see all the time everywhere, but like in a frame, sitting right there, and like we were the ones who brought that into the public consciousness of having it around. But Morpheus, outside of just the Shuhei Easter egg.
But I mean, I think that's cool though. Like, it's things like that that make Morpheus cool, that make it go like from, all right, whatever, I'm in this video game, into this is a world. I'm in a world. There's all these cool little things to look at. I think the funnest part is there's that moment when you put it on and it's just like, oh God, I don't like this. It's not in focus. Things don't look quite right. It's just all kind of weird. And then once you're in the world and once you're over that and you stop thinking about it, it's like, oh shit, I'm just in this world.
Right.
So looking over and seeing pictures, looking over and seeing all this different stuff, it's giving you things to focus on and make you forget that you have this stupid thing.
For me, it's whenever you take the time off between Morpheus demos and you put it on and you start and you're like, okay, cool. And then you're like, oh, right. And like I got all in close on the Shuhei photo and looked around, and then I'm like, oh yeah, and I turned around and see what's behind me and above me, and you're looking all over. Like that immersion moment, right? Mm-hmm. And then like in the demo where I'm chasing you guys, I'm this weird snaky lizardy creature, right? And you're on rails going down this street, smashing the buildings with your head and stuff. And I'm a little hungover, so I'm like, I don't want to really move my head too frantically. But you're knocking stuff down, and it's fun, and I'm coming low, and there was like a light post, and I like lifted my hand. I was like, all right, like that doesn't do anything. It's not gonna hit my hand or whatever. And then you get into, and you guys are shooting at me, and I'm trying to dodge all your projectiles, and eventually, no matter what, you're gonna lose, and you get thrown out into space. And as I'm in space, I'm like looking out towards, I think, the moon or whatever, and then I look back and I can see my own tail and stuff. Like I could finally see my body, and it was like, that's awesome. That's a fun experience. You know what I mean? Like. I don't play Playroom other than when we did it for the trophies with the PlayStation 4, so I wanted to play Playroom VR, but it's like, it is one of those scenarios of like, oh, this is how the tech can work. All these are tech demos, right, to show you how cool this could be and what it could do,
So we did that demo, and then I didn't get to use the VR for that. I just used the PS4 controller.
Because I was chasing your character.
Yeah, you were chasing us. And it was fun, but it just felt like a Mario Party minigame that you don't really want to play. You're just kind of like, all right, I can do this, and it's fine. But then the next demo we did was called London Heist.
Yeah,
Something
Getaway London Heist or whatever it was, yeah.
And you're in a car. And so how this was set up was there was a TV in front of us so that the guys that weren't playing could see what we saw. And we just had the thing on. We had 2 move controllers in our hands. And the triggers would act as your fingers. So if you would turn your hands, like whatever way you turned your hand, it would move. And if you moved the trigger, it would like have your finger do an action. So you're in this car. There's a guy driving.
London Heist, sorry.
Yeah, on the wrong side because it's London.
Yeah.
So he's all driving and stuff. And then you're just in this car. And the first maybe 2 minutes of it, or maybe minute, you're just kind of driving, and he's just saying all this stuff, and you can kind of just free-form explore what you're doing.
Yeah, you pick up a soda, you open the glove box, you can open the door and look out and stuff.
Yeah, like you can actually open the door, lean out, and like move your head around, see like the ground speeding by and stuff.
Nick Scarpino fell
you can
out twice.
adjust the mirror, you can pull the windshield down, and there's a soda that you can pick up and start drinking and all that stuff. And something that was really interesting to me is all 3 of us did the exact same thing, which was we did all this, like we opened up the, what's it called? The drawer?
Glove box.
The glove box, yes. And we were opening up that, we like moved some things, and then we look over at the guy and we instantly try to start hitting him.
Yeah.
We instantly start like hitting him in the dick and like fucking just like doing all this stuff.
I didn't hit him in the dick. I think I tried to pet his face.
Whatever it was. Everyone's trying to mess with this dude and grab the steering wheel and mess it up.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's a testament to 2 things to me. One, how immersive the experience was, where we thought that would actually affect something.
Yeah.
Because everything else felt so right. And 2, to the fact that we are gamers, and this is a gaming thing. What we were doing right there was testing the rules of this. We wanted to know the rules of the world, how this game worked, what we were doing, and what we couldn't do. Because that works with our arsenal of how do we play this game? How can we problem solve the problems that are going to come to us? And it's almost as if that was timed for all of this. Because right then, motorcycles kind of come by, and there's gunners on it shooting at you, and the guy hands you a gun, and you grab it. And from then, your right hand always just has the gun. And he's like, there's clips in the glove box. You open up the box, and you have the clips, and you slam your hands together, and you start shooting. From the moment you first do that, it's just like, you just feel like you're in it. Like, it was like, I'm in a Fast and Furious movie. I've been here before. I know what I'm doing. You just start shooting all these fools, and it's just intuitive, just like doing it. It's like, I've never been in a gunfight. You know what I mean? Why is that intuitive?
Sure.
But it's just, it felt right because in the world, I was in an action movie. That to me is another key point that goes directly against what I was saying a second ago. That moment that said, this is a game, I'm now using my gamer skills, went away when I realized I'm just in an interactive movie. This is not a game. This is a video that is playing, and when I shoot something, a video happens and occurs, it triggers an animation, and it just kept going, and it was damn fun. Seeing guys fall and hit the windshield and making you jump back and all this stuff.
Shoot the gas tanks to blow up the cars, or shoot the drivers to have them lose control.
Yeah, it was super great. I finished the demo. You did it. Nick did it. Like, all 3 of us were like, no, you got to try this. You got to try this. Even though after the first time, because we all had seen it, we're like, I think I get it. But it's like, no. You need to do this. This is actually cool.
Yeah.
But then my takeaway from it is it reminds me a lot of Time Crisis, like the arcade game.
Sure.
Which is awesome fun, and it's a great game. I don't need every game to be like that. And guess what? Time Crisis is an experience you play for 2 hours, you're done. Never need to do it again. Like it's just like it's a thing and it's over with.
Right.
Also, it reminded me a lot of like Disneyland rides, or just like those old
like
4D rides where it's like the Escape from Dinosaur Island, or whatever it is. You're sitting in the seat watching a movie and you feel really immersed in this experience.
The wind's in your face.
But that's it.
Yeah.
It's like it's more of a movie than a game.
Sure, but I mean, it's being unfair, right? Because it's just a tech demo. You have to imagine that being part of a game and then expand it on elsewhere, right? Because we're in God mode, we're getting shot a bunch, and we're not having to worry about our health, right? Or how we're doing that. I believe in, like, if they want Morpheus to be a success, right, they have to be committing to, all right, that's part of this game. That's like, in Uncharted when they showed, like, at E3, Drake and Sully going down the hill, right, in the Jeep. Like, the whole thing isn't driving. That's just a section you're in. And you can't stop the Jeep and get out or you fail the mission, right? Same kind of thing. That there has to be those moments where that's happening.
Yeah.
Hopefully the rest of the game wouldn't be like that. There's more sneaking, hiding, doing whatever.
But, I mean, see, that's the interesting thing to me is, like, I don't know if then it would be fun.
Sure.
Like then all of a sudden the things that I liked about it are gone and it's no longer immersive. And the moment you add more rules to it, besides that you just can't hit this bald dude next to you, when it's you can't do this and you can't do this, you can't do this, then it becomes, well, what can I do? What's the point? What was cool about this is the fact that I could drink the soda. I dropped the soda and I tried to pick it up later, like opening the thing, moving the windshields. Who the fuck cares about moving windshields? Everything I just described is not thrilling stuff. You know, it's just the fact that I could do all these minimal things.
But that's, I mean, that's the problems with. I mean, that's the thing you run into all the time with games. In period, right? If you're playing Spider-Man, but you can't go in any of the buildings in New York. You know what I mean? Or you can only go in these buildings or whatever. You know what I mean? Like games give. Like I was playing the Batgirl DLC last night, right? And you get to. I clean out this one room of bad guys, and I'm going to go out and do the next thing. And it's a small amusement mile kind of map. And there's one door that's locked, and I'm like, oh. I wonder if that's the one door that'll come in. And sure enough, at the end, you know, towards the climax, like, go to this place. You're like, okay, the door's unlocked now magically. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about games is that you always have to suspend your disbelief. The problem with Morpheus is what you're saying is like the first time you do this, you're like, holy shit, that was awesome. It feels so real. And then, there's the moment of like fucking rubbing your hand on this guy's face and he's not even commenting on it. You're like, well, that's, you know, I mean, there's going to be those moments of where you butt up against the reality of what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So we did that demo, and then the last demo we got. No, you did one more.
I did a puzzle game demo, right?
Yeah, it was like Tetris in 3D, where your perspective, you were the block falling forward towards the thing.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like those like Japanese game shows, like Wipeout or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, there's you see the shape. Ding, ding, ding.
What's the one I'm thinking of? I think you and I used to make fun of this one. I thought, Colin, the one where it was on Fox really briefly, where like the cutout is coming.
Oh yeah, that's hole in the wall.
Hole in the wall. It was.
It's time to face the hole. And then it's like, and then it shows. Like,
this was hole in the wall, the game, and it was
awesome.
like as you went through, like you start with a very simple square, and it goes through that you have to. You're moving since you're back behind the square, you have to move your head around to see what the hole's going to be. You're not moving to hit the hole. You always see the hole. You're always coming right at the hole. But as you go, more squares start to come on. So like if you rotate it one way, it looks like an everlasting gobstopper, and it's all fucked up. And if you rotate it the other way, it looks like a perfect T, and you have to go through the perfect T hole and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it was fun. It was interesting. It was just another puzzly game.
But I mean, see, that's a game, you know? But to me, that was just more about the 3D aspect instead of the VR aspect. But still cool. That's a usage for an actual video game, so that's exciting. Then the last demo we saw, I think, was most interesting to all of us. It wasn't the most fun. Definitely the Getaway one or the London one was the most fun. But I think the most interesting was this last one called The Kitchen.
Yep.
Where it was a Capcom game that they turned off the TV so the other people not playing couldn't see it. Have you done this one yet? Mm-hmm. So it was a horror game. And when you go into it, it was really interesting because Greg was the first one to play, then Nick, and then me. So I'm kind of sitting there watching their experiences, not knowing what's happening to them. And they the people handed them a PS4 controller. So they're holding it. And as they were going on, like pretty much as soon as it started, I noticed that they went like this. And they put their like forearms close together. And they started pulling it really close to their body. And it's like, that wasn't doing anything really with the controller. So I was like, why the fuck are they doing that? Like, there's no way that it's going to get their elbows. Like, why are they moving that way? And they just looked really kind of like compact and like they felt stressed and like what we're trying to be as small as possible. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And then when I played it, it's essentially Saw the video game. You wake up and you're just tied down to a chair and your hands are tied together. So instantly I felt myself doing it too. And I was like, oh, this felt so real to them and to me that when I look down to see my hands are tied together, I'm acting like my hands are tied together. And that was a cool moment because I was definitely like, oh shit, like this game is affecting me in real life.
Yeah.
Then you're sitting there and there's this dude in front of you who's laying down who looks like he's dead. He gets up and he's like, oh shit, you're okay, I'm gonna try to help you. Grabs like a saw and he comes and like starts sawing the thing in front of you. And it gets really close to you and you start moving back naturally, like avoid the saw. And it's like, fuck, this is really cool. Then this like grudge girl comes running up and like kills him and it's super graphic and gory and scary. Then there's like, you have 3D headphones on. So she like runs around you and you start like looking around, following her, and you just see little like the pitter patters of like where she was and stuff. And it gets like really scary and freaky. Then she goes away and it's this whole thing. You don't know where she's at. And eventually after a while, I look up, like straight up from the roof, and she comes down and like kills you, and like that's it. And after that, I was like, whoa, that was an awesome experience. But again, it was a movie.
Sure.
I just played through a movie.
That one was for sure the movie, and it's interesting to hear your thoughts on it because mine were completely different. Of like the Saw stuff, yeah. When she disappeared, I was just like looking at the door where she left, and I never looked to the side or down or up. So I just like heard her moving around. I was like, when's she gonna come? And then finally, like her hand came over my face. I was like, oh hey.
Oh really?
And that was the end of my demo.
Well, see, but that's the thing. Like, and that again, we are critics and we think about these things in different ways than I think a lot of people do. So as it was happening, I'm a video guy, so I'm definitely thinking about this from a video perspective of, how are they doing this? Like, well, it would be cool if they did this. And I look, I'm like, oh, they're doing it, stuff like that. But yeah, sitting there, I was definitely thinking, I was like, okay, so there's sound over here. What if I just look over here? Is anything going to happen?
Yeah.
Oh no, nothing's happening. Okay. I guess I'm supposed to. Oh, yep, there she is.
Yeah.
It's like things like that were going on, and it was weird because she was gone in that room for an extended period of time,
and you can't move. Like, there's no way to get out of the chair. I was waiting to like rock it back and forth or something.
Yep.
And nothing.
And it just didn't happen. But they did that on purpose for you to start looking around and stuff. And it's funny that you just didn't do it.
I just didn't look the right ways, I guess.
Yeah, but it's like, because if you did look when you heard the sounds, like you would just catch her feet at the last seconds.
Gotcha.
Like running away, which is cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the final thing is like, I guess for her, she just put the hands over. But yeah,
it was like she came over the back of my head.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely more of like a
Drop
coming down
down
from the roof, hands over.
Gotcha.
And like pull up.
Gotcha.
So it's cool. What demos did you do?
The underwater one,
The
deep or whatever. Eve Valkyrie is still like my jam, and a couple of others. But you guys didn't play Riggs?
No, they didn't have Riggs there. They didn't have Riggs.
Riggs is the one I think that's gonna maybe be their biggest one. Just based, I didn't get to play when we were at E3, but people just talking about it, I was like, this sounds fucking awesome. And a good studio did it too. But yeah, one thing resonated with me that you said very early on, which is that like, everyone's like, oh, it's fun. Do you want one? No, like I am all in on Morpheus. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be commercial. We've talked about it so much. There's going to be quality problems with some of the games, and there's going to be likely commercial problems for it as well. But I think it's going to be good. And you have to remember, like, you're criticizing the games. You guys have things to say about the games, of course. I mean, as we all should. They're learning. They're not going to know what works until people start playing these games.
Yeah.
And because they're all insular, they're gonna play test and stuff like that. But once Morpheus is in the wild and a few million people have one and they're playing these games, then they'll figure out what works and what doesn't. And that's why I feel like they don't really. It reminds me a little bit of what we were saying about Batman, where I was like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They should have just made more Batman, right? Like they didn't have to go crazy with like the drone shit just to make something different. It's not necessary. I think the obvious solutions are going to be the right solutions for Morpheus and for Oculus, which is what can I do in in first person rather. Like for instance, at E3, I thought your comment about how you thought they were going to say everything was on Morpheus made sense to me until I was like, well, but how and why? Like, how would Horizon be in Morpheus? It doesn't make any sense. Like, so it's third person, so the game's gonna be in first person for you, and more, you know what I mean. So I was like,
oh, I just meant it's like a cinematic view.
No, I understand that, but I was just like, I was starting to think about it because I thought you were right at the time, but then I started to really think about it more critically, and I'm like, that doesn't. You don't have to go crazy with it. Something like Eve Valkyrie, man. I'm gonna be if they release that they're going to as a real game. I'm gonna be obsessed with that fucking game.
See, I wanted to try that one. I was upset they didn't have it. That was the mech one, right?
No, you're like a space pilot, like a fighter pilot in space.
Oh,
it's
no,
fucking. That was as I said before. Cool. That's the game that made me a believer in VR when I played. I was like, this is on. That was as people have said before, and I put it before. It was a religious experience when I played that game. I was like, I can't believe this. I can't. And this was like 3 years ago when I first played it. I was like, I can't believe this is real. I can't believe you're doing. This is what you're doing. This is unbelievable. And I think that if we want to see a future of VR, unfortunately, we're going to have to. Even people that are skeptical are going to have to make the plunge and make the commercial plunge.
For it.
Exactly. We have to. We'll figure this out together. I believe in VR. I think that I don't believe in motion controls. I don't believe in Kinect and all this shit. I believe that VR could be a very viable thing, and it will be a very viable thing. I think it's here to stay, and I think they just have to figure things out. That's it.
But I think the motion controls are such a big part of this. And I think that from a commercial standpoint, like one of my first thoughts was, great, so I need 2 Move controllers for this in addition to the thing. That's going to make it an even bigger commercial failure.
Sure. The camera and the light bar and the Move controllers are all intimately intertwined with each other, which makes a lot more sense from the design aesthetic of the controller when you really think about it. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying like Waggle and all that kind of stuff on its own is dumb. Waggle, because your hands are in the fucking game is a totally different thing, and that is going to be the conduit by which you play them. I hope that they figure out a more elegant solution than the Move, but I wonder if some of those schematics we saw like a long time ago about the controller that breaks apart and stuff like that is actually going to be a real thing.
It's interesting you say this because you make a point about they just need to go for the easy wins and they just need to do the things where it works, just do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the same could be said about motion control, and it never happened. Like, where's the lightsaber game that we wanted on Wii? You know, like why did that never happen? Why was Zelda never exactly what we wanted it to be?
I don't think Motion Plus made it a little bit better, but I just don't think Wii was capable of doing what we wanted it to do. I think that Morpheus and maybe to a bigger extent Oculus, because it can run on more powerful rigs, is the realization of what we hoped VR would be for 25 years, and because VR has been banging around forever, and it's now here to stay because people with money are behind it, and the technical limitations of it are being lifted every day. And I just think that they have to look at the heist, the London heist, which is by London Studio, I think, right?
Yeah,
and I think that you guys did
getaway time.
Like, that sounds fun and that sounds interesting, and I'd like to play that. But to me, when I sat and played Valkyrie for the first time, I'm like, this is so obvious. This is exactly what you should be doing with VR. I'm a fucking fighter pilot. You know, this is fantastic. I'm sitting down. It already makes sense. I'm sitting, and I can see my hands and I look down at my legs, or whatever. But it's a first person game, and this makes perfect sense. You know, and so that is an easy win in the sense that it takes thought and it takes time, but it's obvious that so people have to look at these games and be like, not everything's going to work as a VR experience. So what will work as a VR experience, and then let's do those things. And they have to be less of these I wonder how these are going to translate into games, and if they're all going to be games or some of them are going to be games. The only things that I've seen that Sony has done with Morpheus that seems like it's going to be a full-fledged game is rigs, which is why I was curious about if you played it or not.
Yeah, they didn't have one unit.
But even then, if London Heist is a game, what is it? Or is it that experience you pay $5 for it, and it's something that you show your friends or something like that?
And see, that's my thing. Is it's like if they were to go that approach and just make a ton of these cool little experiences, I'm in it. Like, it doesn't need to be a game. It doesn't need to be a full-fledged thing. And I guess my worry is I experience all this stuff and I'm like, these are tech demos. Like, I don't see them as experiences. I'm like, these are tech demos for things they're going to force into games that aren't going to work because it's just a part of the game and it's just not going to be as good as this vertical slice of what we're getting. But if instead of that, it is more of like a app-based thing or like a Netflix style,
But it won't be.
Buy what you want. I know exactly. It won't be. But if it was just the kitchen demo the kitchen experience or the getaway experience or the fighter pilot thing, whatever, it's like, give me a super awesome small thing, a bunch of little of those, because I don't know that it necessarily warrants a 8-hour game experience, you know?
Yeah.
These give me a super awesome 1-hour experience. I feel like that'd be super great, you know? That's not going to happen though.
No, and I mean, I think we can have the best of both worlds. I think you can have a 100-hour immersive game on Oculus, and you can have Valkyrie, which is going to be I feel like that's going to be a really big game. And yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how the whole ecosystem works out. Unfortunately, again, they have to make capital investment early on, and then they have to pay very close attention to the way almost heat mapping games to figure out what people are doing in them and how they're playing them, and then get that bullshit out and start focusing on the things that matter. My instinct though is that they don't know what matters. They're not going to know until it's too late for them to do anything about that first generation of games. It's the second generation of games that will make or break Morpheus and will make or break Oculus. But I do believe VR is here to stay. Absolutely. I am not a believer in a lot of ancillary tech and stuff like that, but I am on board with Morpheus. I will have a Morpheus the day it comes out. There's no doubt about it.
Playing it, doing the getaway demo, one thing I was thinking about almost the entire time was how ridiculous it would be if there was a steering wheel peripheral in front of me and I was actually driving. I feel like that would just be insane. And so there is opportunities for it to fit into real games, but I think it's just going to be an investment for so many people that it can't just be a controller, because a controller is not going to feel right for so many of these experiences.
Sure.
You need to be able to use your hands, and that means whatever the Move thing, which just has weird lobster claw stuff, or steering wheels, or you know what I mean. It needs to be stuff that works for the thing. And if the last thing I want is a million peripherals in my house, but it's like, if the game comes with a specific peripheral that is made for that game, that could be good. You know, make it the experience for the specific thing.
Not a chance in hell.
Not a chance in hell.
No.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it all goes down. All I know is that there's promise here. I think there's reason to be optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
They just have to get over the bullshit and do the proper investments in making these things worthwhile for consumers to own, and then they will, and then they'll have the room to maneuver. But I'm just more excited to see like how much it's going to cost and when it's going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have faith in the proper investments being made, and so that's why I don't think necessarily it's here to stay. I think it's really cool and really exciting right now. I think Sony will do a move with it though, and then it'll not sell and won't go. Yep. And then Oculus's penetration is up to Oculus.
There you go.